Hello there, Jeanne-Marie Paynel here with another Montessori Moment. Hello everyone, and I'm coming here unannounced, but that seems to be working better for me than scheduling these and all of that. So hope you don't mind me just popping in and sharing another Montessori moment with you. So I am Jeanne-Marie Paynel, and for those who don't know me, I am the owner and founder of Voila Montessori, where I guide, encourage, and support families to be the parent that they want to be and to be the best parent that they can possibly be. I bring my Montessori background and my positive discipline background in my mentoring, and I'm a speaker and author and just love spreading the wisdom of Montessori. Sometimes I think about it being ancient wisdom for modern day parenting, because so much of it still holds true and is so important to know. Montessori, for those of you who don't know, is a educational method that is used all over the world, that was created by Dr. Maria Montessori more than 100 years ago. And for me, it is actually a way of life. It is a way of understanding human development. It is a way of understanding our children's needs and to be able to really guide them and nurture their immense potential. And so that's a lot of what I share in my mentoring, in my courses, and so forth. And just, I don't know if I should be saying it, but next week I am doing a free live training around some of the positive discipline principles and Montessori principles. So I will let you know a little bit more about that when it is ready, but that is my plan. Next week I will have some trainings to share with you. So today I wanted to answer a question that has come up many times, and that is, what is positive discipline? And so for me, positive discipline was a game changer, was a life changer, life saver, I might say, because when I first started out in the Montessori classroom, I was enamored by the philosophy and the material and all of this. And I had 21 little humans to care for. And it was a little bit overwhelming and stressful at first, because I didn't really have the tools to be able to manage this group of mixed ages and such. And luckily, our school offered a day of professional development and invited a wonderful person from the Positive Discipline Association that shared with us some principles that entire day. From there, I went on to do a training with Jane Nelson, who is the author of all the Positive Discipline books, and then did some other trainings and such, and have been immersed in it ever since. And for me, it was the tools that kind of complemented my Montessori training, because as much as Montessori is a beautiful approach, a beautiful understanding of children's needs and such, I didn't always feel I had the tools for kind of the management of all the children as a group, and also as individuals when they're having a hard time with a situation, when they're having a tantrum and such. And when I did the training, I was also parenting my two little ones, an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old, and it really helped me with my 4-year-old at the time that I was finding situations that were a bit challenging for me. So that is my personal background into the positive discipline. And so today I just wanted to share with you just a few key points. I'm about to actually do a 3-hour workshop here in Curacao with some local teachers and hopefully planting some seeds and sharing with them the principles of positive discipline. I did one on Monday, and I'm doing another one here today, and then 2 more next week. So it's great that they are interested and wanting to know more. And so I thought I would take this opportunity to share it with you as well. And so for one, I always like to start with what positive discipline is not. And so positive discipline is, first of all, just a little background. It is, so as I mentioned, it is the work of Jane Nelson, who is the author of the book Positive Discipline and many other books. She's done many other books for toddlers and preschoolers and single parents and teenagers, all of that. So, and then she's gone on to do positive discipline for relationships and excuse me, positive discipline in the workplace. So there's just a lot of the principles can be used all over, and it's just wonderful. Excuse me. And so it is based in Adlerian psychology. And that being said, is that it is this understanding that we all need significance and belonging. You and I, we all need significance and belonging. And when we know that and we understand that, especially in our children or in other, like I said, any relationship, we're able to better detect and understand maybe the behavior. And knowing that all behavior is a form of communication also really helps us. So, excuse me. So positive discipline, like I said, I like to start with what it's not. It's not about punishment. Punishment is never something that really is a positive effect on anyone. And also, it is the idea that when we are guiding children, we want to be thinking of the long-term effect of our guidance, and not sometimes we want immediate results, and maybe punishment or some more traditional ways of disciplining are going to get an immediate result, but what is it doing long term? So that's one thing to always be thinking. So it's not about punishment. It is neither about permissiveness, because that is kind of the other extreme. You have this super authoritarian, way of being, or you have the super permissiveness. So it's neither extremes. It's not about rewards and overpraising, because we need to do things for the intrinsic value that it brings us, and not for the external rewards that we give us. And so when we start with children of always rewarding them, that's what we get ourselves into. And I call it creating these reward junkies, where they will only do things if you give them something for it, which is kind of a slippery slope to be getting on. So, and it's not also about pampering in the way of rescuing, our children. For example, if a child forgets something that they needed to bring to school, it was out, it's part of the routine and everything, they forget it. Is it beneficial to them to, rescue them and drive back to school and make sure that they have it? Or is it better to let it be and help them learn from that little mistake? Mistakes are always opportunities to learn. So how can we help them learn from their mistakes? And the other two things also is that it's not about punitive timeout. Timeout used in a way of how, I remember timeout, I remember being sent to my room. It was never a good feeling. You've made a mistake, you've done something wrong, and you're told to go away and think about how terrible you are. And that is, again, not really beneficial for the long-term how do you say, growth of these little people. So that there is, I do a whole other talk on positive timeout, which is another principle that Jane Nelson writes about actually in a book called Positive Timeout. But and then the last thing is about taking away privileges, and so this is a a difficult one to understand in the fact that sometimes we might think that, but that should be a consequence, like there should be a consequence to these actions or whatever. Here, what we need to be careful is that it makes sense to the child. When I don't know, a child is not eating their vegetables, telling them, like, if you don't eat your vegetables, you can't go to the park, doesn't really make sense. Doesn't really, there's no like correlation with it. Like, if you don't eat your vegetables, well, you're just going to be hungry. So that is the natural consequence. So being really careful not to take away these and I don't even know if privilege is the right word, but things that are beneficial to them. We need to go outside. We need movement. So why take that away when it has nothing to do with, whether you eat your vegetables or not? So that's what positive discipline is not. And what it is what we need to be thinking about when we are wanting to discipline, and remembering that discipline comes from disciple, which is really to follow, to show. It's not what sometimes we often think about of getting them to do certain things, or kind of what I would consider maybe a more negative understanding of discipline. So this is Bonjour Thomas, from France. You're not in Singapore. Okay, good to have you here. I'm talking about positive discipline. Do you use positive discipline in your Montessori school in Singapore? Would love to know more if you do. So anyways, to continue, this is a good friend jumping in. I love to see people that I know jump on. So the 5 criteria to be considering when you're doing positive discipline, or when you're wanting to guide your child, is to ask these kind of questions. 1, is it firm and kind at the same time? Firm and kind is really the basis of positive discipline, because it is neither extremes, like I mentioned. It is kind because we are respecting the child, and it is firm because we are respecting ourselves and the situation. So it's really that balance of, finding the balance between being respectful of the entire situation. And I always love to say, I love you, and the answer is no. So to really, it's really, I know, I understand that you're wanting this, and I need to keep you safe, or I can't let you have that right now, or it's just, it's not the time, or whatever. But it's really about, in a very loving, kind way, just saying no, and being okay with saying no in a loving way. So is it firm and kind at the same time? Does it help the child feel a sense of belonging and significance? As I mentioned, that is really the foundation of positive discipline. So always remembering, that when we are disciplining a child, is that are we really bringing that out of them? Are they feeling that significance? Are they feeling that belonging? Because oftentimes their misbehavior is them communicating that they're missing out on part of that. So always, considering that, is it bringing out that significance and belonging? And is it effective long-term? Because we talked about immediate responses as opposed to long-term. So is it going to be effective long-term? And does it teach valuable social and life skills? There's a beautiful exercise that I do at the beginning of all my workshops, and it's about asking, parents, what are the challenges and such. And over the years of doing these workshops, I have found that these challenges are universal. I've done these workshops all over the world, and they really are universal. We all have the same challenges. So the beauty of creating that list of brainstorming with a group of parents is that they realize they're not alone feeling all of this. And then what we do is I invite them to kind of think ahead, like to fast forward maybe 18 years down the road, and to imagine welcoming their children, now young adults, back into their homes, and what would be the life skills and the qualities that they would want to see in their children. And that is also a universal. The list, is always beautiful to hear about, compassionate and generous and curious and independent and all of these beautiful skills and qualities. And so to me, I always do that because I want you to be thinking about the long term, about your roadmap of where you want to guide your child to. And so that's why one of the criteria of positive discipline is it being effective long term? Like, is it bringing out these qualities in our children? And that's the beauty also of, some of the positive discipline trainings is that we do a lot of experiential role play, so that you can really feel it of, and we always ask, like, and we look at that list of the qualities. It's like, is it bringing this out in you? Does it make you feel like you can learn to be compassionate and such? So really, really important to be thinking about the long term. And then lastly is, does it invite children to find solutions? And I think this is really important to, especially for the child, usually after 3, when they start being able to have more of a conscious mind, is really asking them, how can we do better? Like, what is your solution to this? Really inviting them in to finding ways to be better, because, as I said at the beginning, mistakes are opportunities to learn. So if we can empower them to learn from their mistakes, my goodness, you are creating a wonderful generation of people that are not afraid to make mistakes and who are going to learn from them, and so many other people will benefit from that. So that was a very, very quick overview of positive discipline, and I hope that it has sparked some interest. There is a whole website, positivediscipline.org, Jane Nelson's books, as I mentioned, and maybe I'll put some links below. I use a lot of this in my mentoring and in the courses that I create. And as I was saying, I'm doing a workshop, and it's actually the next module in my Montessori parenting membership community that I've been talking about. The doors are open to the Montessori parenting membership community. This is a community that I have created where I share this kind of information and plenty of other information and resources for you to be the best parent you can be, and to, most importantly, be the parent that you want to be. I think that we, compare ourselves, or we were parented a certain way and we kind of want to change that dynamic and everything. So it's really important that I want to empower you to be the parent that you want to be for your children. So that is something that I'm really passionate about, and which is what I do in this membership community. So if you are interested, there is a link here on this page on the banner, Learn More, and I will also put the link below. Otherwise, it's on my website, voilamontessori.com/membership, and you can find out all about it there. I have a little video explaining it, and I would love to welcome you. The doors are open only until February 15th. and then I will focus on all my new members, and we will actually start this module on positive discipline, and I do live Q&As where you can ask me questions and such. So that is it from Jeanne-Marie Paynel here in Curacao for another Montessori moment. I hope that you are enjoying these. Do share them, leave me some comments, leave me some questions if there are topics that you would like me to address. Bye-bye for now.